Well, hundreds of people are being buried in unmarked graves as hopes fade of finding any more survivors from the deadly typhoon which hit the central Philippines on Thursday. The President, Gloria Arroyo, has declared a state of national calamity to release funds in order to assist search and rescue efforts.
The official toll now stands at 309. The Red Cross fears that this could rise to more than 1,000. Most of the victims were buried when driving rain and winds from Typhoon Durian sent waves of mud crashing into the villages. Marga Ortigas now reports from Ginobatan. It's the area worst hit by the storm.
This is the reality people here are waking up to. No coffins, no body bags, many out in the sun for days. Too decomposed now to be identified. And it's far from over. Bodies are still being found. Soldiers here carrying remains just dug up from a town entirely buried. Half its residents lost. Digging has also started for mass graves. The local government wanting to bury the dead before further decomposition sets in. Morgues not equipped to handle such numbers. Salvacion Luz recognized her niece only by the cut on her brow. She lost 5 members of her family in Thursday's floods. She says her nephew shouldn't have died. He made it to the hospital, but they didn't give him any medicine. And she says all he needed was an antibiotic. But she is grateful another nephew survived, the only one.
The water came from underneath me. Suddenly it was everywhere. I thought that was it. It was like a whirlpool and it rolled me around.
Many survivors carry more than the weight of their scars. This is all that's left to Nori Pamamoneda. 3 coffins underneath a makeshift tent. Her mother, her sister, her eldest child. Their home buried underneath them. And just feet away from them, a neighbor still digging to find the remains of his home. There's a strong smell of decomposing flesh and sulfur rising up from the ground here after Thursday's storm. And there's also a renewed sense of fear. The people behind me are all evacuating their homes, as word is that the alert level on the volcano has been raised and more bad weather is on the way. For the people in this province, it seems no end is in sight. The landscape of their lives has just changed, and the cycle of digging and burial goes on. Many don't mind the unmarked graves. No markers are necessary for a day no one here will ever forget. Marga Ortigas, Al Jazeera, Albay, the Philippines.
And Marga is now in Daraga, another town badly affected by the typhoon. She says that even though the typhoon has passed in many parts of the region, many remain afraid.
It's just been absolute pandemonium actually here. I think the people are obviously still in shock, and the slightest thing really sets them off into panic. There were rumors of a tsunami. There was word earlier that in the city of Legazpi, in the middle of Sunday service, it's a very Catholic town here, in the middle of Mass, the priest was giving his sermon, and word spread through the crowd that a tsunami was on its way, and in the middle of the sermon, everybody just vacated the church. And they started running in the streets and trying to hit the town halls and go into higher ground because they were all afraid of a wave that obviously never struck. On top of that, there were thunderstorms late last night and some showers early this afternoon, and even that had people packing up and running. Not to mention, the slightest tremor now is seen as volcanic activity, and again, there is fear that the volcano could erupt. Basically, they're all on tenterhooks, they don't feel the worst is over, and they just expect anything now could possibly lead to some sort of new disaster for them.
I understand international relief aid has been pledged for the relief efforts, but has any aid been getting to the people that actually needs it?
Unfortunately, not enough aid is getting through. If you ask the people on the ground, they feel none is getting through to them at all. As you heard earlier, Salvacion Luz lost her nephew basically because he managed to make it into hospital. Somebody brought him in there, but for 12 hours he was just lying there, completely unattended, and all he needed was an antibiotic that never came. There were not enough health workers to tend to him, and there was definitely not enough medication, and he passed on, you know, before she could even get to him, basically. So there's just not enough aid coming through.
40,000 people have been displaced, I'm hearing. Where are they all going?
A lot of them are actually camping out in makeshift tents and living right above ground where their houses used to stand. Many of them spend their days digging, hoping to find anything they can, be it valuables, and by valuables I mean they're looking to find sacks of rice or any kind of food that they can still use because they don't even have food right now to survive on. Others have moved in with relatives who live in other areas or other villages, and the rest, as you mentioned earlier, have gone into evacuation centers. But basically, there is a tremendous amount of people that have been displaced. On top of that, many are concerned for their livelihood. Most of the people here were farmers, and it looks like that has been completely messed up basically now because of what's happened. Rice fields are full of mud, full of volcanic debris, and projection is it'll take 2 years before the ground can be used again for agriculture.
Well, to Fiji now, where the country's military commander has told the Prime Minister, Laisenia Ngarase, to resign immediately or be forced from office.
Frank Bainimarama says he's planning to appoint an interim civilian administration and hold elections to restore democracy to the country. Dan Nolan has been watching events unfold in Suva.
Fijian Prime Minister Laisenia Ngarase arrives for a Sunday morning service at the Methodist Church in Suva. Divine intervention is about all he has left now, and the troubled leader has appealed to the nation to pray for peace and stability to help Fiji through its current crisis. Ngarase is facing enormous pressure to step down from military chief Frank Bainimarama. The commander went on Fijian TV to repeat his demands for the government to resign.
What I mean by a peaceful transition is for the Prime Minister to step down. If he doesn't agree with me, he should step down instead of asking for foreign military intervention. He should step down so we don't have to make a coup.
Bainimarama says he has the support of the President and Vice President. He has repeatedly threatened to remove Ngarase's government unless it drops 3 pieces of controversial legislation, including a bill that would grant amnesty to those involved in a coup in 2000. Ngarase says he's gone as far as he can within the law to meet Bainimarama's demands. The capital remains tense but calm, with troops remaining in their barracks.
Something's gonna happen this week or maybe, I don't know, maybe next week. So unemployment will come across us. So that's a problem that we're going to face.
Fiji has suffered 3 coups since 1987 and a bloody but unsuccessful mutiny in which Commodore Bainimarama was almost killed. This time Bainimarama says it will be a peaceful transition, and the whole nation is praying that he's right. Dan Nolan, Al Jazeera, Suva, Fiji.
Reports say North Korea has offered Russia exclusive rights to its uranium deposit in exchange for support at stalled talks on its nuclear program. Japan's Tokyo Shimbun newspaper says the two countries have been discussing the deal since 2002. And as part of the plan, Russia would enrich the uranium and sell it as nuclear fuel to China and Vietnam. In return, North Korea would get support at the 6-party talks on its nuclear ambitions. The North tested its first nuclear weapon in October, drawing international condemnation.
The Palestinian Prime Minister has told Al Jazeera that he blames President Mahmoud Abbas for the failure to reach a deal on a national unity government.
In an exclusive interview with Al Jazeera's Sami Zaidan, Ismail Haniyeh said he doesn't believe his resignation will help solve the deadlock over the talks.
يعني الرئيس محمود عباس أبو مازن من صلاحياته الدستورية أنه والله يقيل رئيس الوزراء.
President Abbas has a constitutional right to dismiss the Prime Minister. However, the question is, what's next? This would be a step in the wrong direction. Indeed, it would conflict with the will and choice of the Palestinian people. It would have severe and complex consequences on the internal political scene. Therefore, I sincerely hope that President Abbas restarts the Palestinian dialogue and abides by what was previously agreed regarding the national unity government.
الفلسطينية والتقيد بما تم الاتفاق عليه بشأن حكومة الوحدة الوطنية كذلك.
The US Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice has spoken of the need to strengthen the security forces loyal to the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. Do you think this is an indication that the next stage could be an attempt to eliminate Hamas by force?
لا أمريكا تحاول دائما.
No, the US always attempts to sow the seeds of conflict amongst Palestinians. However, the US administration is deluded if it envisages that a large movement like Hamas can be dealt with by force. That chapter is closed.